Welcome to Queen Marchesa. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, this is lovely. I would love to keep it, but we have no lands in our opening hand. Oh, and yes, I will keep on this one in a heartbeat. So, then Ancient Tomb on top. That man, that cuts us off any sort of red mana. But let's see. So we draw into Ancient Tomb, get down Ancient Tomb, run out Mana Vault, Lightning Greaves, Monastery. Yeah, we'll keep on this one. Yeah, we'll put that on top. That's fine. We can make this work. Let's have a Godless Shrine come into play. Actually, do we want to just go for... yeah, we'll go and shock this one in. Actually, no. We're going to have that come into play tap, because that way we can save it for Monastery Mentor, go Mana Vault, go Lightning Greaves, and get those Monk tokens going, and really put some pressure on Selvala, and hopefully not end up losing the game because we didn't have a red source in our opening hand. But yes, welcome to Queen Marchesa. Hope you're excited to have some fun today, and I'll kind of cover our commanders in just a second. So let's go and lead off with that Ancient Tomb. Let's go for Monastery Mentor. And pray that our opponent does not have any sort of removal for Monastery Mentor. Now, we are playing against mono green, so I've got our fingers crossed, feel pretty good on this one, that at least we're going to be able to untap and then go Mana Vault and Lightning Greaves. So I'm going to kick the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Queen Marchesa, Death Touch and Haste. Whenever Queen Marchesa enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Then, at the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the Monarch, create a 1/1 Black Assassin creature token with Death Touch and Haste. Playing against Selvala, who's already on the battlefield. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under its control, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. Then for a green mana activation, add a ton of mana to your mana pool. And then we do draw into red source. We draw into Clifftop Retreat, which is just exactly what we wanted to see. So we go Clifftop Retreat. And I like being aggressive on this one. So we go Mana Vault. And then we can still get down Lightning Greaves, which is, yeah, I like that. So we go Mana Vault. And that's going to give us the Monk token, and that's going to trigger Prowess too for actually Monastery Mentor, which is also going to allow us to, I don't think we can take advantage of the Selvala trigger just yet. So we're going to have the Mana Vault enter the battlefield. Let's go for Lightning Greaves. And that's going to be another 1/1 token, get an additional Prowess token, and we'll also get another Prowess on the actual token out there, which, unfortunately doesn't have haste, so we're not going to be able to do anything with that. So we go Lightning Greaves, we get Lightning Greaves onto Monastery Mentor, and then there's nothing else we want to cast. So let's go and push in for 4. More than likely not going to see a block from Selvala, so we should be able to get him for 4, knock him down to 26, and then we're going to kick the turn over to our opponent. So as far as what we want to see during our draw step, we need to get some sort of spell, just some sort of non-creature spell. We've got a nice little monk army token army building up right now, so if we can find something like Path to Exile, Night's Whisper, Read the Bones, anything of that nature. And that's really going to allow us to get at least another creature down, because at this point, the longer you leave Selvala on the battlefield with a ton of mana, it's just not good for us at all. There's a lot of really cool interactions with Selvala. You get down Phyrexian Dreadnought. It's a 1-mana creature. Then you activate Selvala in response to its... Phyrexian Dreadnought is a 1-mana 13/13 with Trample, but you have to sacrifice 13 power worth of creatures to leave it on the battlefield. So what you do is it enters the battlefield with that trigger on the stack, then you just activate Selvala and you're good to go. So you get the mana, then Phyrexian Dreadnought goes in the graveyard. So it's a quick way to just basically get ahead 12 mana by spending 1 mana. So kind of interesting. All right, so we do not run into a non-creature spell, unfortunately, to trigger the Monastery Mentor. Now, we do have Slayer's Stronghold we can get down. It's going to be Vigilance and Haste. I think at this point, if we want to compete with our opponent, we want to get down Queen Marchesa simply just to get that card draw. So let's go Plains, and let's go Queen Marchesa. And I think, unfortunately, at this point, we're going to have to tap down Ancient Tomb just to get down that colored mana. But we're going to go black, red, and then white, and then get down Queen Marchesa, going to become the Monarch. And then at this point, I think what we'll end up doing is simply just passing the turn. Yes, we definitely want to use that. Yeah, 3/3. I'll take it. That's a card. Ooh, Damnation. That is exactly what we want to see. As long as we don't see some sort of hasty option from our opponent, that Damnation is definitely going to come into play. Be a good option for us, at least to have. At this point right now, we have some nice Monk tokens going. And yeah, they could trade with Fauna Shaman on Monastery Mentor, and we'll just pass the turn, and then cash an additional card draw off of the Monarch token. Now you can definitely see how Monastery Mentor is so good in a build like this, because it's not instant or sorcery, it's just basically non-creature spell. So getting down something like Rakdos Signet, that's going to give us an additional Monk token, that's going to trigger Prowess. Yeah, it's going to trigger Prowess too, so that's another good way to kind of cards like Talrand, it's cast an instant or sorcery, and you get one of the drakes on the battlefield. But thankfully, with Monastery Mentor, you can just cast a non-creature spell and really get some good stuff moving. So our opponent did end up dumping a Sylvan Primordial into the graveyard, and I think Sylvan Primordial is banned in Commander, and so if you're seeing this card trying to figure out why it's being played, I am playing 1 versus 1 Commander, which is slightly different than traditional Commander. For the most part, it's the same, but there's a few cards here and there. Long story short, 1 versus 1 Commander is kind of like the format they tried to do on Magic Online, and then they grabbed Ulamog. Can they cast Ulamog right now? It's going to be 5. Yeah, that's a lot of elves out there, and it is indestructible. Exile 2 permanents. Oh no. This is not good. But yeah, if this is going to kind of lean towards Ulamog, then I might just start talking about Commander 1 versus 1, because I always get a lot of questions about it. Or at least, I didn't think this card was the Artisan of Kozilek. And they're going to bring back Primordial to the battlefield. Okay, so that's fine. We can survive that. That's going to be able to destroy a non-creature permanent. Let's see what they end up targeting. I would assume we're going to see. Oh, they're going to go for Ancient Tomb. That's okay. We can at least still get down Fetid Heath this turn, next turn, and clean up the entire board state. Getting rid of Priest of Titania and Selvala is going to be a great thing for us. So this, especially being able to get rid of Sylvan Primordial too. The only downside is we built up some nice monk tokens, but we can definitely make that trade. So they're going to get that Selvala trigger. But yeah, long story short, with the Magic Online format, they wanted to create kind of this 1 versus 1 Commander format that they could have at tournaments, and they tried to put a ban list out there. Brawl became the #1 Commander and 1 versus 1 Commander because you just jam every counter spell in a Brawl deck and polymorph into a big creature, and then, yeah, you win the game. So they tried to keep Brawl in the 1 versus 1 Commander format as long as possible, which, to my mind, I don't know why they tried to do that. And then they've got more than enough mana to go for Ulamog, so this will definitely be kind of what we talk about. But yeah, so then they wanted to keep Brawl in the format, and then they just banned every normal blue piece of interaction, whether it's just Brainstorm or... just having Brainstorm banned in a Commander format was just so silly to me. And so, okay, so opponent does... They're going to go for Mana Vault and our last black source. So we can end up getting enough Fetid Heath, but that's not going to be enough for us to clear this entire board out. But yeah, long story short, they banned all of the really good blue pieces. They started to ban a lot of 1 versus 1, some really good tutor pieces, Vampiric Tutor, Mystical Tutor, and then it ended up where this format was just not a lot of fun to play. That's one of the fun things about playing Commander is you get to play with some of the best cards in Magic's history, and then they just... yeah, it just made the format not fun anymore. So if they swing in with Ulamog, that's going to exile top 20 cards of our library. This game's not over, but it's not looking good. So we still need to get a black source down. So we go Fetid Heath. Yeah, because this Ulamog, we need to catch like Path to Exile and Swords to even deal with Ulamog. Now with Damnation, we can at least kind of clean up this board, but we're going to have to get there. So let's go Rakdos Signet. That's going to be another monk token. That's going to trigger a ton of prowess options too. And so we'll go for that. But unfortunately, when you're playing against Selvala, Selvala Eldrazi is pretty popular. It's a pretty good tier deck, and you definitely see why good it is. There's Ulamog on turn 5, really kind of keeping it, and especially with how explosive of a start we get off to with Mana Vault, Lightning Greaves, and an entire monk token army. They're going to be able to grab it. So let's see. Yeah, I think we just pass the turn at this point, because if we're going to be able to survive and get down something like Damnation, then we need to just kind of have as many creatures as possible to stop that. Yeah, long story short, they kind of created that ban list, and then players dropped off on Magic Online, rightfully so, because the format wasn't fun. I kept playing it because, I have my channel and I enjoyed recording Commander content, but that's kind of the only reason why I stuck around it. And then once they realized how bad, like, the Commander leagues were going, how bad the players had dropped down, they just hit the reset button on the Super Nintendo and just said, and then tossed in Primetime and Grizzlebrand and said, all right, here you go. We're resetting the format, and we just hadn't really heard any. They left the room, and we don't know if they're coming back or what's going on. But anyway, this is the one. Long story short, that's, if you're wondering why Sylvan Primordial is here, that is why. That's because we live in this bizarro Commander world where it's very much like Commander, except it's kind of like It's just Bizarro World. So anyways, there we go. Long story short. All right, so we got Sylvan Primordial swinging in for a 6/8, 10/9. We've got Ulamog that's going to exile top 20 cards of our library. And we've got Annihilator 2, which is just blah. We will end up sacrificing the Monk tokens, thankfully, because they're not going to be able to get that back with It That Betrays. They can't get those tokens if they don't go to the graveyard, partner. Well, technically they go to the graveyard, but they cease to exist. All right, so the swinging in, that's going to be 10, 20, 26. That is lethal. So I think at this point, if we're trying to just minimize the amount. Well, we're going to end up going for Damnation next turn, so we'll just block out on this one. So we go Monastery Mentor, we go Monk Token on Ulamog, and then I guess at this point with Death Touch, we end up going for Sylvan Primordium. Yeah, we'll do that just to get rid of him. I mean, either way, we're going to have some Damnation next turn, so we're going to block on them. We're going to preserve our life total. We're going to try to go for this Damnation. Like I mentioned with Ulamog, exiling the top 20 cards of our library. That's really going to put a problem on us being able to deal with it. But thankfully at this point, it looks like the top 20 cards they end up going for, or they end up exiling, they did not hit one of our removal sources. So maybe we get lucky. We go for Damnation, blow everybody up, and that's going to leave Ulamog out there. All right, so run into a mountain. So we go Swamp. Yeah, and we need to go Damnation. So it's going to be tap down double black for Fetid Heath. There we go. And let's go Damnation. It's going to clear out the entire board. That still will end up leaving Ulamog down, and I'll see what they end up going for this Fauna Shaman activation. Okay, so they're going to discard Arbor Elf, and let's see what they end up searching up. All right, so they end up grabbing Ulamog, extra super secret Ulamog, the original Ulamog, who in junior high before we went to high school, the Ceaseless Hunger. But with this one right here, whenever you cast a spell, destroy target permanent, indestructible, Annihilator 4. Oh ho ho! What is that? That is a Swords to Plowshare. Ha ha! Thank you, Magic Gods. I love it whenever the Magic Gods hear our call. It's like the Athreos reaches down with his staff and just knocks the top cards of our library off. All right, so they're going to get another 20 cards, exile them, but thankfully we got that Swords to Plowshare. That's going to allow us to deal with Ulamog, and if we keep making these land drops, maybe we can keep some of these creatures in check, and then that'll allow us to maybe kind of rebuild our board state. We only have 40 cards left. We'll get the exiles. Zone popped up. Yeah, look at that Swords to Plowshare. I'll take it. Even in games like this where our opponent gets off to a really quick start or they have a really nice advantage, I always enjoy just making them earn their win. That's a fun thing to do in Commander, and that's what we're doing right now. For keeping score at home, you can definitely check mark the box of this is not looking good, but at least at this point we can get rid of Ulamog. That'll get rid of some huge mana for Selvala. Okay, so we have Read the Bones, which is actually going to be a great thing for us. So we go Mountain. And I think at this point, we want to go Read the Bones because we want to make it seem like we read the bones into this this Swords to Plowshare. So let's go Read the Bones. Even if you have it in your hand, I always like to go Read the Bones first. So Gift of Estates, let's put the Swiftfoot Boots on the bottom. Gift of Estates would be nice, but we need to play to our outs, and let's get a lot of good stuff moving. And let's go Swords to Plowshare on Ulamog. So that's going to exile Ulamog. That's still going to give them a reduced cost off old Ulamog. That's going to be 11 minus 2. That's going to be 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we're still kind of in a good spot, and we already did make the land drop for the turn. Okay, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So at this point right now, like I mentioned, if we're keeping score, we're going to try to just make this game as much of a pain as possible to our opponent. We did draw into Archangel Avacyn, so we at least get this down and get down some sort of threat in the air. Unfortunately, when you are going for a Path to Exile or a Swords to Plowshare on an 11 or 12 creature, that gives them a really nice life bonus. So it's going to put them up to 35, so we're really going to have to attack that. Thankfully, though, we're going to be able to get down Slayer Stronghold, depending on what sort of creatures they roll out. If they're trying to get at least a little bit of a better Selvala, we can go for Austere Command. And if we end up having to destroy all the artifacts, that's not really going to be a huge problem for us. We're going to be able to get rid of Mana Crypt. We're going to be able to at least kind of destroy the creatures. Now, it depends on what sort of creature package they do end up getting down. But at least we can maybe set up a really nice Austere Command and Oh, Woodfall Primus. Okay. Enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent. So that's going to really start attacking our lands. And yeah, with that persist, that is just going to be brutal. Yes. Even with Avacyn, yeah, creatures you control gain indestructible at the end of turn. So we almost need another exile effect to deal with Woodfall Primus, because once we get that persist option, they're just going to keep blowing our lands up, and it's still going to keep us off 6 mana for that, unfortunately. So we go Slayer Stronghold. They swing in for 8 next turn. We lose 3 life. That's going to put us down to 9. That's going to get our life total down really low. But I guess if we're going to draw our way out of this one, yeah, because we simply just don't have the mana for our steer. We can flash in Archangel Avacyn, but man, I'm just not wild about that particular line of play. Because if we go 1 Power Stone, they get in for 8, and it's still just, yeah, I think we just go Ancient Craving. It's going to get our life total down really low. We're going to draw 3 cards, lose 3 life. That should put us down to 1, and if they get this, ooh, Path to Exile. There we go. Okay, so I think at this point, we just go and jam a Path to Exile, and that's going to get rid of Woodfall Primus. And that's going to give them another land, so it's going to get them closer to Ulamog. But like I mentioned, you know, if our goal is to make this as a painful win as possible, then we're definitely working towards that. All right, so we're going to be able to, next turn, we can at least go for Austere Command. If we hit the land drop, that'll allow us to, you know, blow up the mana crypt, because we still have this Ulamog looming from our opponent's side of the battlefield. They have the 2 to reduce cost off Eye of Ugin, so it's going to put this, basically, its original cost at 9. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They actually have just enough mana to go for that. And like I mentioned, the downside to Ulamog is that it's still indestructible. We burned through Swords of Plowshare, we burned through Path to Exile. If they get down Ulamog, this is not. See, this is the interaction I was talking about, where they go for Phyrexian Dreadnought and they get a ton of mana going. So at this point right now, once they have Phyrexian Dreadnought, I'm going to kind of let them go through this turn and see what ends up happening. Okay, so they get that extra mana from Phyrexian Dreadnought. They blow up our last remaining black source, that swamp, and they go for Ulamog. Depending on what we draw into, I don't think there's any way out from this, but we'll at least give it a shot. You know, Ancient Tomb would be a good option for Austere Command, but even then, there's no exile effects. We already got rid of Merciless Eviction, I think. Yeah, it's in the exile zone, so it's going to be hard for us to really, really close this one out, but we'll see what we draw into. But if you're keeping score at home, hey, it's not looking good. Okay, and let's see what we draw into. Draw into Secure the Waste. Yeah, I mean, we could get in a position to where we just end up going for Secure the Waste with the Lightning Greaves. That's going to delay the Annihilator. Yeah, they simply just go for the Ronus activation. It's got Trample. Yeah, they've got the active. Yeah, I mean, either way, we can Demonic Tutor, but even then, we don't have a black source. Secure the Waste for 3 creatures. Yeah, this is not going to be good. We're going to go ahead and scoop this one up. At least we did get some nice, some timely Path to Exiles and Swords to Plowshares, but you can see how hard it is to beat Selvala Eldrazi. There's just so many like, you know, ramping as quickly as possible with mono green, and once you get to the Eldrazi effect, it's just really hard to kind of stop some of those destruction effects, and especially when they're targeting their lands. But good game to our opponent. They got going pretty quick with Selvala, and unfortunately we tried to get the Monastery Monk army going, but that did not happen. And anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Queen Marchesa. As far as our opening hand goes, yes, we're going to keep on this one in a heartbeat. I love it. We've got 2 land sources. I'd like to have one more land source, but we've got Knight's Whisper, got Swiftfoot Boots, and we've got Imperial Recruiter, which is going to be an awesome way to pretty much just grab whatever sort of creature we want. Let's go Marsh Flats, and let's go ahead. Since we do have Urborg, we're just going to go and grab a red-white source. That way we can get it on the battlefield. Let's get this popped out, grab ourselves a Sacred Foundry. There we go. I had that come into play tap. Not going to pay 2 life, and then we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Queen Marchesa. Dead Touch and Haste. Whenever Queen Marchesa enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Then, at the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the monarch, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Dead Touch and Haste. And we'll be talking about Padeem in just a second. So we'll get that squared up. Let's see what we draw into. It's going to be, ooh, Monastery Mentor. That's really good. Let's go Urborg. And at this point, we could go Swiftfoot Boots, but I really want to make sure that we hit this land drop. So we're going to go Knight's Whisper. Yeah, there we go, because that would have been some pretty bad draws. So hopefully we draw into another land to get down for the turn. Worst case scenario, we end up getting down Swiftfoot Boots next turn, and then we kind of go from there. But we are playing against Padeem, the Council of Innovation. Artifacts you control have hexproof. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied for the highest converted mana cost, draw a card. And let's see if we hit that. Come on, land. We do not hit the land. So I think at this point, we just go Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, because that's the only thing we can really do right now. We could try to hold up Doomblade, but then we'd have to discard something. So we'll go Swiftfoot Boots, and then we're going to pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied, draw a card. So always fun playing against Padeem. It tends to kind of be just a mono blue or blue colorless artifact deck, which is always kind of fun to jam against. And there's just a lot of times they get that card draw going. It's pretty hard to compete with. But I think as far as this Queen Marchesa deck, I think this is the first time that I'm actually recording with this particular build, and I'm definitely excited to talk about it. So let's see if we get the land drop for the turn. Drawn to Damnation. Now we can we'll just end up going for Doomblade at this point, and then just keep our fingers crossed. Now what we can do is once we finally hit that third lane drop, we can go for Imperial Recruiter. That's going to allow us to grab Dark Confidant. If we can get that Dark Confidant to stick through there, once we finally do get down Dark Confidant, that's going to allow us to at least kind of get another source of card draw, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, as far as this Queen Marchesa build, I'm fairly certain this is the first time I'm recording with it, and this is kind of like a Mardu token build. You know, we've got Monastery Mentor in here. We have the Angel token. We have Anointed Procession. And so what we're trying to do is kind of combine the token element to gameplay. And Rakdos Signet, well, that is a very, very slow third land, but I will take it, especially with our mono blue opponent tapped out. So we're going to go for Rakdos Signet, get that down. That'll be our third land drop, and then we'll kick it back over there. If we didn't want to go for Dark Confidant, we could go for Weathered Wayfarer. We'll see if we'll see kind of what we end up drawing into. But yeah, this is going to be a Mardu tokens build. You know, we're looking to get down something like Monastery Mentor, start cashing in Doom Blades and Knight's Whisper, get those monk tokens going. Get down Angel, start making our land drops, get a bunch of 1/1 bird tokens. We basically just want to be able to just squeeze as much value out of the everyday spells that we're normally casting out of our deck, and that's going to work out really well with Queen Marchesa, especially with us being able to get that Monarch token, getting that extra card draw. That is exactly what Mardu wants to do, is just keep the board on lockdown and just keep the card draw flowing and find an answer for whatever threat your opponent gets down. But actually, I'll talk about the deck more here in just a second. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you're going to get into Magic Online and you've been playing some Arena, MTGOTraders is a wonderful option for you to card vendor for you to jump into. Vault of the Archangel. Okay, so we finally hit that third land drop. We get that down. We are looking at Monastery Mentor potentially with 4 mana open. From our opponent, that's only going to be 1 blue source. So what's going to be the best thing that we want? So we can basically end up going Imperial Recruiter and getting down Weathered Wayfarer activation. That's going to allow us to really kind of start cashing in some lands. I still like going for I know it's a little slow, but I like going for Dark Confidant. So we're going to go Rakdos Signet. And I guess technically, if you wanted to get the most card vol, actually the better card draw option would probably be getting down Queen Marchesa. You become the Monarch. So yeah, let's go for that. Let's see if we can't get Queen Marchesa to stick. And then that way, if there is a counter spell, she'll at least go back to the command zone, and we can at least, kind of keep that card draw flowing. I like that. So we're going to get the haste option going, get the Monarch token, and then whenever we deal combat damage, yeah, we'll go and swing it for 3, because I don't think we're really worried about anything from our opponent. So we'll swing it for 3, knock them down to 29. That'll at least be 3 total commander damage, and we'll get a card draw there next end step. Now we'll end up having to discard, and they're going to go for Peerless Voyage. Return target non-land permanent we don't control. If it's 2 or less, scry 2. All right, so we at least get that. Let's see what we want to dump out of our hand. We have Austere Command. I think at this point, just in case, I think we're going to get rid of Austere Command because, well, we get to choose 2, destroy all artifacts. They'd have to get down the indestructible artifacts. So we'll get rid of Merciless Eviction. And then I guess at this point, it feels like Bloodgift Demon is going to be really slow in this particular matchup, but that's not hitting our land drop, so we'll get that down. But yeah, long story short, shout out to MTGOTraders. They'll be able to take care of you any sort of card needs that you need for Magic Online. And shout out to easegaming.com. If you use coupon code JOLT, you'll be able to use 10% off get 10% off your order, and help the channel out at the same time. So that way it's kind of fun to get a playmat and help me out if you want to. And also, I started a Patreon too. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, it is there. There's a link down in the description below. But no pressure to do that. It's just kind of it's just like a little tip jar. I'm just using that money to kind of help go back into the channel, whether it's cards or equipment and different things of that nature. So our opponent did end up going for a Weird Invention for 5, grabbing Paradox Engine. So that's going to put them in a position to where they, depending on what they have in their hand, they can really get some really explosive turns by tapping and untapping their artifacts with Paradox Engine. So hopefully that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we can't actually go for Austere Command just yet, because we go Battlefield Forge, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's just going to be 5 mana. Now, we can end up getting down Monastery Mentor if we want to kind of start working towards getting rid of some of these artifacts. But just in case we don't hit the land drop, and unfortunately the Magic Gods have not been that forgiving on us today, I think the better option for us is to get down Hedron Archive. That way we're at least online for Austere Command. If they get down some sort of creature package, we can at least destroy the artifacts and destroy the creatures. So let's go Hedron Archive. And that'll still leave us open for going for Imperial Recruiter. We can search up a creature, or if we really want to kind of start working towards something, we can get down Monastery Mentor with this last 2 mana. We still got the Monarch token. You know what? Let's go Monastery Mentor. That way, I can't really see them getting down something too crazy to where we need to go destroy all of the creatures. And if that does end up happening, I think we can survive off of that. So let's go Monastery Mentor. And then that way we can at least kind of really start working towards getting those monk tokens on the battlefield and hopefully kind of chaining together some sort of some way to attack our opponent's life total. They're sitting at 35, we're at 27, and then they have an open Paradox Engine, which is not something we desperately need to see. So, but you can definitely see what this deck is trying to do. We get down Read the Bones with Monastery Mentor on the battlefield. That's going to give us an extra monk token. We're getting card advantage. We're getting extra tokens going. And so, as far as the rest of the deck, this is a pretty standard Mardu deck. We've got a lot of your tutors in here, Enlightened Tutor, Doomblade, not Doomblade, but Demonic Tutor, Ate the Flux Reservoir. But we've got a whole assortment. We are in Mardu colors, so we have a wonderful assortment of removal, Dreadbore, Hero's Downfall, Path to Exile, so pretty much anything that we can need. And then we also have the Tithe. White has the kind of random search your library for playing style effects. So we've got Tithe and then Gift of Estates, which really kind of helps us push our game plan. But outside of the normal core concepts to a Mardu deck, it's basically just kind of Mardu tokens. We do have the new card in here, Theater of Horrors, so kind of testing that one out. And then also Secure the Waste, which is one of my favorite cards. I love Secure the Waste. All right, so we end up getting down Monastery Mentor. And I was looking at my deck list, but I'm pretty sure that our opponent went for double Staff of Neon activations. Yeah, that was worth going it for that. So if they had some sort of, there's no way we're going to play around, not get down Monastery Mentor to play around the Staff of Neon tap with Paradox play. So that was kind of worth going for it. Then if we do somehow get Monastery to stick around, once they get down Staff, they're going to be able to pop those monk tokens. It's going to be hard to keep up with them. But the good thing at this point right now is that they just don't really have any sort of way to kind of keep, at least to my knowledge, we'll see what else they're going to have. They can go for Inventor's Fair, but hopefully they don't. Oh, hold on. Are they about to get to an active Aether Flux Reservoir? That's going to put us at 52. Never mind. They're going to be able to, yep, there we go, negative 24. It's crazy, I never lose to Aether. I was looking at my deck list for most of this term just to kind of explain it, so I didn't see that unfolding, but I've gotten hit with the Aether Flux Reservoir twice in the past, week or so, and it's just, I haven't lost to it in a long time, or I don't think ever, and so to have it twice in the same week is very interesting, but we kind of got a quick taste of what we're trying to go for, getting down Monastery Mentor, and unfortunately in this game we were really kind of stuck on 2 lanes and we could not really accelerate our board state. Had we been able to kind of accelerate our board state just any sort of normal a little bit quicker, we wouldn't be able to go for Austere Command or even something like Merciless Eviction to kind of keep some of these artifacts in check. But that is the way Magic goes. Sometime our opponent was able to take advantage of us not hitting our land drops, and they closed the game out with an Aether Flux Reservoir activation. So good game to our opponent. Definitely enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next game.